Hey everyone, welcome back to Ash on Comics. My name is Ash, and today we're talking about previews. I did about a week ago a Marvel preview, so it went really, really long. I'm going to try not to go quite as long with the DC. I do apologize for those of you that are like, dude, I can't watch a thing that's long. I totally get it. It's a long thing. I designed them, hopefully, like for you to listen to them like podcast style. You can put it in the car, just put it on, listen to it on your drive home. Do it while you're cleaning the house, taking a shower, mowing the lawn would be kind of hard unless you got some really good headphones. There's a number of things that you're probably doing throughout the day that you just want to fill with, I don't know, something to occupy your mind. That's what I do at least. So I kind of project on others, if you will, like what I expect them to do. But you may not be that kind of person. I totally get it. You might be like, dude, I can only take YouTube in like bite-sized 5-minute chunks because my attention span doesn't have it. That may be fine. That's how a lot of people have been accustomed to YouTube. I come from old podcasting. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm already making this video super long as it is. This is DC Previews, issue number 23. This is soliciting comics that are on sale for May. So 2 months from now, these comics will be coming to town, and yeah, let's get the show on the road. Dark Knight's Death Metal. Get ready for the encore. Now, I got to say, I came into comics. Sorry, I didn't come into comics. I came back into comics after a multi-decade hiatus. Not really just being completely away. I just didn't buy comics anymore. I had other hobbies. I still love superheroes. I still, for the most part, liked comics or the idea of comics. I loved my time in comics. I don't regret it. I still have my entire collection from when I was collecting in the 80s. So maybe one day I can make some videos of just going through, because it's been, honestly, these boxes I have of comics, I have not opened them in 20 years. They're just sitting there. So hopefully I don't open these boxes and it's just all like moths got to them. You know, they should be protected. They're all bagged and boarded, but things happen. They've moved a couple times. You never know. Get some sort of mold got in there that I was not aware of. Who knows? That would be tragic. Just be like, look at my Chris Claremont run. It all falls apart, turns to dust. These are just things I imagine in my head. I'm sure it's fine. But anyways, when I was getting back into comics, DC was going through Metal. And I decided not to pick it up at the time because I didn't want to. I was just dipping my toes in. I wasn't like, yeah, let's go buy all these back issues. And, and of course, a lot of these issues were expensive because they were big, thick, double-sized issues with, remember they did the special covers for them. Now, I kind of wish I had all the Jim Lee variants for this. And I'm a hypocrite because I hate variants. But it's that old saying, if you can't beat them, join them type thing. So I don't like variants because I just want one comic. And back in the day, I'm soured because when variants started becoming a thing, it's like Spider-Man #1 from McFarlane kind of is what pushed that out there. It was like, hey, I know it wasn't the first variant cover, but it was the first comic to really just be like, we can do this. And it had, I think, 3 different covers. It had the regular, well, actually it had multiple, it had 4, I think, because it had the regular one. It had the regular one inside the poly bag, which I count that as a variant because it is a variant SKU, Then it had the silver edition, right? That was like the limited edition. That was polybagged. And then it had, I forgot. There was also a platinum edition that's hard to get. That would be a really good chase comic. This comic sold in the millions. It's not really worth anything today, but that platinum would be a good find. And then there's the bronze edition, which I picked up because some speculator at the time was like, you should really pick this up. And I was like, why? I'm a kid, I'm young. It's like, because the print run on the second print is so much drastically smaller than this one. I mean, this Spider-Man #1 sold over 1 million issues, right? But the second printing, maybe 100,000 copies. Now, that's huge by today's standards. I don't actually know what the print run is, but by today's standards, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. Plus, I was like, I want all the covers. I don't have the platinum one. because I was a kid, I didn't have funds to go chase down this super rare version of it, but I did. And anyways, I don't know why I'm going the covers. I hate the covers, so because I used to buy into all of them. When X-Men #1 came out, I was like, give me all the covers. So I was like, screw variant covers. Nowadays, I just pick the one I want, except for White Knight, where I buy both of them. Thanks, Sean, because you're so awesome. I'm so in the weeds already. Eric Breen's looking at his watch going, he's going to make this short? Okay, so let's get right into it. You know how I do this? I basically flip through the book. I have not seen anything. This is the farthest I've gotten. So your experience is going to be my experience. Hopefully you haven't seen it either. And we'll flip through together for the first time, and you'll get my honest reactions. So, DC, in all their genius, a little while back, decided it was too confusing to customers to have all these different labels and imprints and stuff. So we need to cancel Vertigo because customers are just too confused by this imprint that's the most popular second, sub-imprint to a label that any comic publisher has ever had, and it's been that way for over 30 years. But people are just damn too confused by it. That's why we're canceling it, which, is utter bullshit, because we still have Young Animal, we still have Wonder Comics, which came after, by the way. We still have Jinx World. We still have Joe Hill Comics. We have all these. DC's canceled Vertigo because we couldn't, and then they made more. But Vertigo is the one that was confusing, right? So what they said was we're just gonna have regular DC, we're gonna have DC Kids, and we're gonna have DC Black Label. But they lied because they're also gonna have graphic novels for young adults. So there's 4 labels when they said there was only gonna be 3 because they didn't want to confuse. But still, where does Wonder Comics fall in here? Where does Jinx World fall? Where does I almost said Vertigo? You know what I'm saying? Anyways, I'm still in the weeds. Dark Knight's Death Metal, the epic follow-up. Now, I did go back and read this later, and I loved it. I really like I always say Zack Snyder. Whenever you hear me say Zack Snyder, and I mean Scott Snyder, it's because I always flip those guys' names. I do not know why. Well, I mean, other than their names are so similar. And Greg Capullo is badass, and him working with Scott, I love that they have a great chemistry, and they like working together because it's a great artist and a great writer together. At least for me, like, it's an artist and a writer that I like. And in today's comics, you don't get that. I mean, did you hear about Wonder Woman? Mariko Tamaki is being put on Wonder Woman. And they gave her Michael Yanin, or however you pronounce his name, Mikhail Janin, or Janin, whatever. It's like, what the... You're putting one of the worst writers on one of your flagship titles, but to prop her up, we got to make sure she's got a premier art talent. Because DC knows she's not going to sell. And if they just put a B-list artist on top with her, that book would go in the toilet. It'd be like 15,000 units on issue 2. So it's going to be kind of interesting to watch that shit show of how bad that comic fails. I think it's going to fail worse than G. Willow Wilson's run, which killed, I think it dropped 20,000 units off the sales, and then they're just like, we cut one testicle off, there's still one left. Am I right? But I'm trying not to be too upset because I really think that decision was a pre-Didio firing decision. So the new administration, I don't think, she's got contracts. I don't think they're just going to like chop her off at the knees before she even gets off the ground. So they'll probably let her run for at least 6 issues, do something, try to let them, if it fails or whatever, then move her to something else in some way that helps her save face, which I'm not too opposed. I mean, it's not her fault. I don't want her, defaced or however, like I don't want her drugged through the mud. She's just not a good writer, and she doesn't deserve Wonder Woman. I don't deserve Wonder Woman. Like, I'm not trying to. Anyways, I liked metal a lot. Death metal sounds awesome. They should just keep going with this. Let's do all the metals, right? But then we're getting Generation 1. And they're going to move up to Generation 5. At least they dropped the 5G stuff because they realized that was stupid. But look, we're going to get a nice one shot to launch it off for $6. I'm so not supporting this. Now, my boy Wes over at Thinking Critical did a nice little video props to you, Wes, for trying to be positive and say, look, this is not going to be as stupid as we all thought. Now, Wes was a big, big opponent. Ooh, that's my, you hear that beep? That's my corn dogs. Now, Wes was a big, big proponent. Oh, shit. Is that going to keep beeping? Wes was a big, big proponent of... damn it. All right, where were we? Oh, that's right. I was trying to say that Wes, Overthinking Critical, was a big opponent, not proponent, of the Year of the Villain, which I thought Year of the Villain was supposed to be a sequel to Metal. And it really came off that way with that Year of the Villain little one-shot for 25 cents that DC launched. Which, by the way, I'm going to call 25 cents to launch Year of the Villain, $5.99 to launch 5G. Yeah, let's go back to that. So Wes was a big opponent of that, and he didn't like it, and that's fine. Different strokes for different folks, as they say. This is my different strokes. Wes is getting excited about 5G, and I'm still going to call 5G because I like mocking things that are dumb. I think it's important to do that. Not necessarily people, because people have feelings, but business decisions don't have feelings. It's not going to go home and cry itself to sleep if I mock it. And when you mock stupid things, people don't tend to want to push those stupid things because they don't want to be associated with the mockery. Anyways, I get so off tangent. All I was trying to say is this is not exciting for me, but bravo to you, Wes, for trying to be positive about it and have an upswing. I think I feel about 5G the way you did about Heroes, Year of the Villain. Batman: The Adventures Continue. Now, I'm glad that they're calling it this, because leading up to this point, I've been hearing it called Batman the Animated Series, the comics, I guess. I don't know. Like, I was like, it's not an animated thing. If it's a comic, I get that it's the same world. This is really great. The Adventures Continue. I don't know how they're going to market this, because it's not continuity. Is it going to be... It's not Black Label, really. Are they going to put it in Black Label? I don't know. But it's Paul Dini and Alan Burnett, who I'm not familiar with, goes on sale. It looks like this is an ongoing book. Here's a page here. I'm not going to go through read all this, but you can pause it and read it yourself. I'm probably not going to get into that as much as I think Batman the Animated Series is probably the best superhero, comic adapted cartoon that's ever been done. It was really great. I just don't think... I'm not a cartoons guy, and I say that kind of dismissively because I just don't think that the animated stuff does as well as the comics. That's why I got into comics as a kid, because it's like, as much as I loved the cartoons, man, I grew up as a little kid on Super Friends. I loved it when I was like 7 years old. But once I got into comics and realized how badass comics were, you go back and look at Super Friends and go, this is silly. And you might go, yeah, Ash, but Super Friends is kind of silly. And I go, but I see all of them that way. When I go and I watch some of the more modern stuff, even like X-Men 92, that series, when that came out, I was like, yeah, I'm bravo for trying to capture the Jim Lee era X-Men. And this is cool for the 10-year-olds out there. And if I was 10, I'd probably love this too, but I'm not 10. And the comics are just way better. I don't understand this idea of like, oh, this is something I like, and look, they did a cartoon version of it, so it's going to be cool too, like, or a TV show version. Like, I hate the CW shows, and I don't understand all the comic book fans that are out there that are just like, man, the comics suck, and then it's like, but you watch CW shows. Those are terrible. Those are even worse than the comic. Anyway, that's my opinion. You might be like, shut up, Ash, I'm unsubscribing, I love CW. Hey, look, everyone likes what they like. Here's some Green Lanterns. DC needs to seriously do some purge with the Green Lanterns. There are way too many. And you go, but Ash, it's the whole Green Lantern Corps. It's supposed to be. No, yes, I get it. But Earth isn't supposed to have its own Green Lantern Corps. Okay? There's way too many. So they're going to have an 80th anniversary, 100-page spectacular, because they can't do a Green Lantern issue, however, because F that up. $10 prestige format. Okay, whatever. Batman 94. So, what's this? What's this? Did Batman dump Catwoman? Please. Please. I'm sorry, Cat. It's just not working out between us. You're a criminal and a felon and a thief, and I could really never trust you with my deepest, darkest secrets, or the Wayne fortune, or the future of Gotham City, all things that are super important to me. I've tried for many years, and you've spurned my love, so I've finally come to my senses, and you must go. I probably pissed off another people. Lost a few subs on that one. Be like, shut up, Ash, I love Batcat. It's your opinion. We all have our own opinions. I think it's a terrible idea. I do agree, though, that the romance is good. That's good. The forbidden love, the chemistry, yes. Keep that. Just never actually pull the trigger and continue with that. Remember the show Castle? If anyone's watched that, Nathan Fillion, I know there's a lot of comic fans watching because they love Nathan Fillion. That was a great show because of the chemistry between the two characters, and you could tell like they kind of liked each other, but they also didn't want to admit that they liked each other. And it just created. And then as soon as they got together, show fell apart. Same thing with Moonlighting. They didn't learn the lesson from Moonlighting like decades before. Bruce Willis, Sybil Shepherd had that same thing. And then they got together, show fell apart. Like some things you keep it going, and comics are a snapshot. They're not meant to just tell stories of a whole generation's life. We're not supposed to see Batman grow up and then grow old. Now you can have Elseworld stories and do stuff and say little snippets like Scott Snyder did his Last Night on Earth, Batman did Frank Miller, or Dark Knight Returns. Sorry, Frank Miller did Batman. Can't even talk right. Frank Miller did Dark Knight Returns. You can do these stories and be like, what if, how they go, that's fine. But in the comics, keep it a snapshot in time. Joker War explodes. I do like some Jorge Jimenez. However, I do not think he's the right choice for Batman. So I'm happy that, obviously I want to see him on a book that I'm reading. But that's Guillaume March, cover art Tony Daniel. It's like, why can't you keep... Okay, look, DC, you got it. You promised us last year that in January of 2020 you were going to go back to monthly shipping. Of course, you can't keep that promise because Marvel's flooding the shelves, and you would drown in their flood if you didn't keep flooding in return. That's the problem with the whole comic. Well, it's not the problem. It's one of the problems is that the flooding begets more flooding because you can't let yourself get squashed. And that's what Marvel's trying to do, is they're trying to flood the shelves so that everyone else gets squashed under the immense weight of 100-plus Marvel titles a month. And if DC said, that's fine, we're just going to produce 20 quality books like we used to, and just do it monthly, some fans would be like, yeah, that's great, but then they'd end up becoming like what Valiant was. In 2012 through 2017, Valiant was primo, producing some of the best comics in any generation ever. I would hold them up to anything. You could take Robert Venditti's X-O-Man of War run, and you could put it up to any run of any comic in history, and it will stand up as a great, great comic. They had great writing, they had great art, they had great direction, they had continuity, they were doing everything right. They were doing things better than the big two. Better art, better writing. It still amounted to not much. Why? Because they had like 5 titles. And comic fans are dumb. And if you're upset and offended by me saying that, look, if the shoe fits, you know what I'm saying? And if the shoe doesn't fit, don't try to squeeze your foot into it. Because there's no reason to be upset at me if the shoe doesn't fit. Right? I'm saying? Okay, hopefully we're on the same page. Batman, the Smile Killer. Who would have thought that they would continue off of this? Oh, okay. I didn't hear about this. I guess I'm kind of interested because I don't really care about a Joker story, but now we put Batman in it. I mean, that's what saved the movie, right? Like the Joker movie, I don't think would have worked without Batman. But Sandman Universe, because it's absolutely super confusing to have a Vertigo imprint, but when you rename it Sandman Universe, now no one's confused. We can just replace one imprint with another, and no one will be confused anymore, even though the other one's been around for 30 years, and it helped redefine comics for a great many fans today. Sorry, G. Willow Wilson I thought she left Comics. I thought she was moving on to something bigger. That's why she couldn't do Wonder Woman. Huh. Could that have been a big lie? Trying to save face to pull off someone who's Event Leviathan Checkmate number 2. Now, I haven't read the first issue on this yet. I need to for the channel. Because that first Event Leviathan series was, holy crap, was that bad. And it wasn't bad in a way of like it's painful to read. It was bad in a way that Bendis was like, haha, fooled you into thinking I was going to write something good again. Thanks for giving me, what was it, $24, 6 issues? Like, thanks for your $24. Nothing happened. There's no story here. Haha. Run to the bank. That's what Event Leviathan. It was a bunch of nonsense. And when it was over, you were like, what? And it kind of reminded me a little bit of Man of Steel, although Man of Steel at least had good ideas. I think that's because Bendis had time to write before he came over to DC, and now he writes like 10 titles a month, and he just shits it out on the toilet. And he just writes nonsense. There's no stories there. So I'm really curious to see how he follows it up. Apparently this is going to be a trilogy, from what I'm hearing on the grapevine, a trilogy of event miniseries devoted to his Leviathan character that he really wants to push and hope it'll become like the DC's Thanos supervillain guys that DC can build movies around and then he can just retire. So I think Bendis is all out there for the IP cred. That's why he changes everything. Everything he gets his hands on, he erases the old and inputs the new Bendis so that the future of DC Comics will have his stamp on everything. Pay attention. Watch. You will see this. Everything that's what he does. I spent way too long on that. I'm not even going to address that. Jesus. Man-Bat number 1. Do we really need a Man-Bat title? 5-issue miniseries? Of course, because Marvel is shitting out comics for all of their character. Every character in Marvel's got to have a comic, so every character in DC. It's what DC does. They just follow in Marvel's footsteps. It's really sad. And they succeed when they don't. When DC is smart enough to go, you know what, Marvel's going in a bad direction, let's go in the right direction. Rebirth. And they were crushing. They had the market share over Marvel, which is something you just don't ever really see in the modern era of comics. And then they were like, let's take our boot off of Marvel's throat. We don't really want to win. They had like 30% market share. I think Marvel had like 25 or something. And now it's like flipped. And at one point, Marvel got up to 50% market share, and DC's down to like mid-20s. You're just like, wow, how the mighty have fallen. Manhunters: The Secret History. Oh, spitting out of the pages of Event Leviathan, which no one liked. Who is there at DC greenlighting this shit? Oh yeah, it's Didio. This is all still Didio stuff. This is all we gotta like wait 6 months before we can really start seeing stuff and then blaming it on the post Didio DC. Strange Adventures, I did a video on this book. I'm not excited at all. It looks like Mr. Miracle 2.0. Action Comics 1023. John Romita Jr. is... I think he's a legend. I had an argument on Twitter about this. He's not turning in his best work on Superman. But not surprisingly, since Superman double ships, and I'm sure they don't pay like they used to, and John Romita Jr. is like, well, why would I put out my best work for a bi-weekly book that sells... Yeah. Aquaman 60. Yeah. She told me not to buy her comics, so I won't. Joker War continues in Batgirl 47. It's a tie-in issue. Because, it's what we need right now in DC is more Joker. I was just really thinking the other day, I wish they would have some Joker stories. We haven't had any of those in a while. Batman and the Outsiders 13. Now, I dropped this book because I didn't think it was going anywhere. Apparently, 13 issues later, they're still fighting Ra's al Ghul, which is one of my favorite Batman villains. And it's funny because Brian Hill I like. He's the guy that got me to buy Detective Comics. He wrote the best of the Dawn of X series in Fallen Angels, although the last issue kind of fell apart, which I think that's because he left. So, that is what that is. But his Batman the Outsiders, which I was loving, I was looking forward to so much, did not seem to have. And I had 6 issues in. I was like, this isn't going anywhere. These characters aren't interesting, and that's why I wasn't interested in Fallen Angels, because like these characters I'm interested even less. But he managed to put some heart and soul into that book and make me care about characters that I didn't like, and that's an impressive feat. But this book is still going. People still like it. So maybe I just didn't give this book long enough of a chance. I'm glad that it's still going. I wish Brian Hill the best, and I want the book to succeed. But at the end of the day, I only have so many comics I can buy every month, and this one just did not make the cut. Batman Beyond number 44. Dan Jurgens is making everyone I know that reads Batman Beyond happy. So if you're a Batman Beyond fan, which I'm not, then that's awesome. Oh, there's my alarm. I gotta cut this one short here soon. Batman's Grave number 7. I read the first issue, bored me to tears. Did not like how it was written. It's got some kick-ass variant covers though. Yeah. Batman's Secret Files number 3. I don't like one shots. He's okay. Whatever. Batman Superman number 10. I've been a big fan of this book. Josh Williamson, excuse me, has been knocking it out of the park. His first 6 issues were astounding. I have not read issue number 7 yet because they changed the artist to Nick Darrington, who is not good. I don't like his art. He did the Batman Universe story, which seemed to fit that particular book better. It does not. It's really jarring in Batman Superman to go from David Marquez to Nick Darrington, and his style just does not fit the tone of this book. And yeah, bad choice, DC editors. I mean, or you just like, did David Marquez come down with like COVID-19, and then you were like, oh shit, what are we gonna do now? And like, oh, Nick Darrington's not doing anything. Okay, put him in. It's an emergency. Like, okay. There's so many artists. Like, just... Anyways. So we got Batman, Superman. Superman reveals his identity. One of the worst ideas DC's ever done. And they know it's the bad idea because they've done it already. But it's Bendis, Ash. Catwoman 23, co-written by Brian. Got Brian stuck in the head. I'm talking about Brian Hill and Brian Michael Bendis. Co-written by Batman White Knight writer Sean Murphy. Ooh. Interesting. And he did the cover. I don't like Catwoman as a character for her own. I like Catwoman as a character when she's written right. Not the Tom King Batwoman. Or Catwoman. Sorry, not Catwoman. But this could be interesting. Very interesting. Detective Comics 1023. Fortunately, I'm reading most of these Batman titles already, so I don't have to... I'm not going to extend, though. I don't like the crossovers that make me buy into multiple books. The stunning conclusion to the Flash Age. All right. Flash 756, because it's double shipping, because we get 2 Flash books. In the wake of Godspeed's death. Hey, I wonder what's going to happen to Godspeed. Sorry, I did not mean to spoil anything. I hate spoilers myself. What the literal F, DC? You could put, like, in the wake of, an important character's death, something happened. Like, you don't have to say who... Fuck. Sorry. Genlock 7. I don't know anything. It's based on a hit series by Rooster Teeth. Okay. Green Lantern Season 2. Some people are really happy with this or enjoying it. I dropped off Green Lantern as soon as they said they were canceling it, so they do Black Stars, and then they were going to reboot it and do Green Lantern Season 2. I was like, F this. I'm so sick of predatory practices. Marvel has driven, fandom into the ground with this, and DC is trying to get on that bandwagon. I just will not support it. I don't care how good this book is. keep rebooting for those number ones? Why don't you just every issue be a number one? Can we just get this over with already? Right? So you can just reboot. Every single issue is a reboot. When will enough be enough? Harley Quinn 73, Sam Humphries. Yeah. Hawkman 24, Robert Venditti. Hashtag read Hawkman. Hawkman and Hawkwoman reunited for the first time. Fantastic. Looking forward to this. Look at these great. I gotta go back to the variants, man, on Hawkman. I stopped. See, look. Okay, so DC had this thing where they were like, "Oh, you're doing these artist covers with like full art cover," and I was like, "Oh, cool. I'll just get these. Like, that's neat. I haven't done that. You know, that they didn't used to do that in the past when I was collecting." So I started doing that with all the DC books, and then they said, "Oh, we're going to start charging $1 extra for them because they're cardstock." No one asked you to do cardstock. No one cares, and I'm surely as hell not paying an extra $1 for your 5-cent upgrade that it costs you at the printer at most to do the cardstock. So that was bullshit. I hate these predatory packs. So I stopped. I was like, you know what? I told my store, I was like, because I'm not the kind of person who's gonna I'm gonna get this variant one week and not the next week. I like all my books to be the same. So I'm either getting all A covers or all B covers. That's my little OCD there. And my comic book store won't do it, and I don't want to put them through it anyway. Of like, this book gets A covers, this book gets B. Like they're like, nope, you just pick. They're like, we can do all A, all B, but not. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. But Hawkman, because it doesn't sell enough, they don't do the extra $1 upcharge on the variant cover. They did for like 1 issue or 2 issues. It did not sell. And so they're like, okay, we're going to go back to $3.99. We'll still do it on Batman and these other... So I'm just like, you mother... So I was like, I'm just getting A covers. Now I could get the B cover. Now I'm just like, you see what I'm saying? I'm so annoyed. So, Justice League Dark, Ram V and James Tynion the Fourth. Look at that. They both have. It's like Ram the Fifth, James Tynion the Fourth. It's like, I don't know if that's actually the fifth or if it's actually a V, but it just looks interesting. Yeah, Justice League Dark. Don't miss out. Justice League 46. I'm still have not read the Venditti stuff, but I don't need to because it's Venditti. It's amazing. Yeah, get you some Justice League. More Justice League Odyssey. Dan Abnett is the cosmic guy, right? And they put him on the cosmic book. It seems to be a good fit. Legion of Superheroes number 7 hasn't failed hard enough yet. Legion of Superheroes is a complicated concept to get right, yet Bendis and Sook seek to make it one of DC's A-list titles. Talk about nothing to say. Hollywood Reporter's like, what can we say about this book? They're trying to do something. This is the most non-committal. And then DC's like, hey, there's something nice about... Like, oh, God, it's so sad. It's so embarrassing. Such a terrible... Lois Lane, a.k.a. Orange Man Bad. This is Greg Rucka inserting himself into the comics as a keyboard warrior to this therapy for his Trump derangement syndrome. And if you think I'm just being hyperbolic or making shit up, just read Lois issue number 1. It's absolutely... I mean, he literally rips out stuff that happened in real-world current events, and he just rewrote them and just replaced the actual characters with fictional characters, but had the same exact things happen. But shit you not. And then Lois Lane became a Twitter warrior to tell all the people that, you know, supported the president how bad it was literally just Orange Man Bad. It was like just Greg Rucka's Twitter on a page. I can't believe people are paying $4 for this shit, and I can't believe DC's printing it. Looney Tunes, enjoy for those who are fans. Holding the line at $2.99. Metal Men number 8, Dan Didio's book, still coming out. I'm curious to hear if it is going to come out. Maybe Dan Didio had the entire script already written and turned in, which would make sense given his position. Like, he wouldn't just sit month to month and write. So maybe they already just have his scripts and they can keep doing it, which will be good for the fans. I don't want to see this get canceled. So, What else we got? Nightwing 72. Dan Jurgens seems to be riding the ship. It took a little while, but I keep hearing good things. Punchline strikes, so that should help with the new character. It's good to put it in a non-Batman thing. I really, that's a good idea. I think DC and Marvel too, but mostly DC needs to focus on collectability. What makes comics? Why fans collect comics? They like not everyone. A lot of people are readers and they're fine, but the industry is propped up by collectors, and as much as you may not like speculators or whatever, they help sell books, and fans want to have comics matter. They want things to be important. They want to look back 10 years and be like, man, I got the first appearance of this. Remember this character when they appear like in a main big book or a #1 issue, it's not as big of a deal. But when it's in a lesser title that's all the fans kind of bailed out on because something happened, and all of a sudden it's like, right? Remember Deadpool was in New Mutants? That people were just like, whatever, it's New Mutants. Like, wish you had that $1,000 book now, don't you? New Mutants 98. Red Hood Outlaw 46. It's like they got the Outlaws back, but they're not calling it Red Hood Outlaws, and he still looks like Edgelord. They really poisoned that book when they did that, but hopefully it goes back to what it was. Shazam 13, Jeff Johns. Pretty much the only character that Jeff Johns could write that I wouldn't want to buy is Shazam. I don't have any negative feelings. He's just not for me. Suicide Squad. Oh man, I don't care about Suicide Squad. It's a book about villains written by a villain. Yippity yay. Supergirl 42, Jody Houser. I thought this book was its final issue. Canceled. Wow. As soon as Jody Houser got in the book, canceled. Superman 23 by Brian Michael Bendis. Entertainment Weekly Superhero of the Year 2019. Oh, yay. Yay, thanks, Entertainment Weekly. When was the last time you were relevant? Probably the last time Bendis was relevant. Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, number 11, cannot end fast enough, but be careful what I wish for, because that means Matt Fraction will be free to do something else. Holy shit. I cannot wait to see what book he ruins next. Teen Titans, Robbie Thompson. Teen Titans aren't for me. Terrifics 28. I'm so glad this is still going. At least one New Age of Heroes book continues. I'm sad that I'm not getting it because I really like the New Age of Heroes, but DC canceled every single New Age book that I bought. And I guess eventually I was like, enough is enough. I'm not going and buying all the back issues of the Terrifics just to collect this book because it'll end up getting canceled. I did that with Silencer, and I did that with Damage, and I was like, nope. Fool me once, fool me twice. And we got Wonder Woman 757. Steve Orlando. He always seems to be the go-to guy when they need someone to jump in on Wonder Woman. I think he came in when Greg Rucka left. Then they put on G. Willow Wilson, then she left, so they brought back Steve Orlando. And now they're going to replace him with Mariko Tamaki. And I'm like, why? Why don't you just keep Steve Orlando? Wonder Woman 758. More. All right. Sorry about that. If you're probably listening in, you could hear the doorbell ringing and the dogs barking and stuff, and that always interrupts the video. Also, I noticed when I stopped the video and started re-recording, I didn't have the microphone plugged in, so that's why the audio probably sounded like shit for the middle part. That's just the basic microphone on the iPad versus now you're hearing me in my sultry, what do I say? My sultry baritones through my little lavalier mic. Anyways, Young Justice 16, Brian Michael Bendis and David F. Walker continue to bring their Nothing Matters attitude from Marvel to DC, and this is try to turn DC into something it's not. They're bringing their silly Billy humor, and just characters running around being cutesy and goofball, no plot, nothing matters, but it appeals to millennials. So what can I say? 16 issues. It's better than most Captain Marvel runs, am I right? Bam! All right, Joe Hill House Comics. Oh, wait, no, it's just called Hill House Comics. Sorry, I was extremely confused by the number of imprints. I'm sorry. I'm going to keep mocking this. I think you need to mock stupidity. Not people who are stupid. Right? People have feelings, but ideas and companies and business decisions and things like that. You should mock them and ridicule them, because that's a good way to fight and make people not want to align themselves with stupid ideas. And I'm not saying Hill House Comics is a stupid idea. I'm saying Hill House Comics should have just been a Vertigo comic. Vertigo is the most successful imprint in mainstream comics ever. It revolutionized comics. It's one of the most influential imprints, and it was a horror imprint. Like, let's get this clear. Joe Hill Comics would fit in perfect among Vertigo. In fact, it could have revolutionized Vertigo the way Neil Gaiman did with his Sandman stuff 30 plus years ago. Joe Hill maybe could be now the leading flagship of Vertigo if only DC had people with any sort of vision about their books, but they don't. Instead, they got people going, my Vertigo is too confusing. We need to close it down. People don't... It's stupid. Anyways, I don't read horror comics. Joe Hill things aren't my bag. I know some people are saying some of these are pretty good. Surprisingly, the Joe Hill books themselves aren't the best. Meaning, I'm not saying they're not good, but they're not the best of the Joe Hill's books. Like, there's better books, at least according to testimony that I'm hearing from other writers. Here's Sandman Universe, another potential Vertigo book. So we have, I'm just going to be beating this dead horse. No one cares about these books. No one. It only has any sort of recognition because it has Sandman on the top. And so people buy it because it says Sandman, I guess. No one talks about House of Whispers, yet it's 21 issues in, and it's drop my iPad. Don't drop your iPad, folks. And it's tarnishing up the name of DC Black Label. So I had to cancel Vertigo because it was being tarnished by these shitty books. So what they did is they just canceled the name Vertigo and moved the shitty books over to Black Label because reasons. Look at this book. No one is illegal. Look, tell me this isn't just SJW propaganda, right? I write there on the page. Just no one is saying that anyone's illegal. You insufferable. God, it just drives me nuts. They're so disingenuous. John Constantine Hellblazer, number 7. People are kind of happy with this. Cool. Awesome for Hellblazer fans. It's good to have a Hellblazer book. Last God, man. This started off with a bang. Everyone was like, oh, this is great. Now no one talks about it. So I'm curious, if anyone's reading this book, tell me if it's worth paying attention to. Here's a book literally about Satan. Awesome. Not. And then we get in the facsimile editions, the books that Dan Didio was famous for saying at one of the big comic press conferences, or I forget which it was, about being that more people were buying these books than their new books. Congratulations, Dan, you're fired. Yeah, there's no reason these books should be selling more, especially when they're a big ripoff reprint for $4. Now you can get dollar comics from DC. Wow, Dark Knight's Metal #1. That's pretty cool. Usually they go back so really far back. This is a recent, but it's like a 2-year-old comic. But it might help sell the trades, which might help people move, coming into the death metal. That's a pretty cool idea. And Metal was a cool series. You didn't have to get all the stuff. I recommend just the Metal Core series of 6 books. And then if you enjoy that, get the Origin spin-off books where they were just one-shots. So there was a different version. There was the Batman, all the different Batmen from the Dark Universe. There was they were all an analog of the Justice League. So there was a Flash Batman, a Green Lantern one, et cetera, et cetera. Those were pretty cool stories. Yeah. So Green Lantern Secret Origin. Look at that. That might be worth picking up. That's pretty cool. Oh, look. And Manhunter, just in case you cared about, Bendis's new thing. Yeah, so here we get more Dollar Comics coming out. A lot of Wonder Woman stuff. Ooh. Gotta prop up Mariko Tamaki. Swamp Thing, Alan Moore, hardcover, new printing. Volumes 1 and 2. Pretty cool. I've heard really great things. This is all trades and hardcovers and omnibuses. So I'm just going to sort of flip through, not really comment, because it's all stuff that's happened before, unless something really stands out. Wait, they're doing a deluxe edition hardcover of The Golden Child? Now look, I liked this book, honestly. But it's a one-shot, and it's now they're reselling it for $17.99. Like, I'm a huge Frank Miller fan. Even I don't have any. That's stupid. You got to be able to earn. Wow. Yeah. Flash forward trade paperback. A lot of people were happy with this, from what I've heard. I haven't read the story yet. I don't think there's any fixing Flash. You can tell a story of him being a hero and saving the universe. It doesn't change the fact that he still killed a bunch of people, which, yeah, I can excuse. It was an accident, but then he didn't just blame his friend. He framed his friends for the murder. He framed his friends for the murder. You can't just go now tell. Anyways, look at this Harley Quinn New 52 box set. Imagine spending $60 on Harley Quinn. Yeah. Hawkman Volume 3, Darkness Within. That means Volume 2 is already out. You got to get Volume 1 and Volume 2, I'm telling you. They need to do a deluxe hardcover of 1 and 2 together. I'd pick that up, even though I have the books. That's outstanding. Man, DC is just wrecking house on the trade. So many. Supergirl Being Super by Mariko Tamaki. So you want to know how awesome Wonder Woman's going to be? Just read this shitty Supergirl trade paperback, and then you will know. DC graphic novels for kids. Kids don't read this unless they have shitty parents that torture them and buy this for them. Look. Come on. You're the Villain, Hell Arisen trade paperback. Okay. It's still being sold. Like, the miniseries is only on issue 3 of 6, I believe. And you're marketing the trade paper. So is this going to come out, like, right on the heels? Like, this is the problem with everything being on trade paperback. You're basically telling fans, don't buy floppies. We'll have the trade paperback in just 2 months. Just hold your horses. So I know tons of people that are just like, yeah, I'm just waiting for the trade. Why are they waiting for the trade? Because it's cheaper, right? You're going to spend $16.99 for 6 comics rather than, what, $24, $36. I don't even know how much these books are. Yeah, why wouldn't you wait for the trade? These books aren't going to, I was about to say they're not going to be worth anything, but issue 3, it's like $100 now from what I understand. But generally the books aren't worth anything if you're, yeah. That's a pretty dope statue of Catwoman. And here we get into all the little figures and toys and stuff. Look at that. We got the deceased figures now. I don't really care about this stuff. The thing about collectible statues and things like that is, number one, they're not super collectible like you think. And number two, it's a slippery slope. Like, you get one, it's pretty cool. You get your second one, yeah, all right. Now you know your bookshelf looks nice and decorated. It's kind of like a tattoo. You get 1 or 2, you're like, then before you know it, it becomes an addiction, and your whole house is full of these fucking statues, and just like your body being full of tattoos, and you spend a shit ton of money just like tattoos, and you kind of have regrets. At least That's my perspective. Some people obviously have different perspective. Here's the checklist. Unlike Marvel, it's only one page. You can pause it there and make your own little checklist of things you want to get. Thank you so much for listening in. I got to wrap this up. I already went way longer than I wanted to. Got to read another video record. I'll see you next time.